There's a new kid on the block in the compact SUV space, the Hyundai Venue. It's been received with aplomb, 20,000 bookings at launch. But then there are many of you also waiting to find out how the Venue compares against its rivals. Now, the last time we saw these four cars together was when the XUV300 came out. That wasn't a long time ago. So instead of reiterating everything that we had said about these four vehicles, we decided to approach this particular comparison with a bit of a difference, with a few practicality tests. Now, of course, at the end of every test, we still have a point system so that we can find out which is the ultimate all-round package. So, take a look. People usually choose these compact SUVs over hatchbacks and compact sedans for four primary reasons. They look more imposing, have better capability of tackling bad roads, have a roomier cabin, and usually better boot space too. With the exterior designs of these cars being so diverse, we are leaving the design bit to personal choice and taking a closer look instead at the other aspects in this comparison. And we begin with the cargo holding capability. The car makers also market these compact SUVs as vehicles that also support your active lifestyle. So if you do subscribe to that philosophy and if you do take frequent weekend road trips, then there's every chance that you love traveling together with your friends or family. So what we've done is we have here luggage for 5 people for a weekend. And if all of it fits in the car, well, it gets a maximum of 10 points, which means that each and every piece of luggage here has different points. So the bigger ones, they get 2 points each. The smaller ones, they get 1 point each. There's also a camera bag and there's also a picnic basket. That is a bonus. So if the picnic basket also fits, that's extra 2 points for any car. The Hyundai Venue instantly sets the benchmark by swallowing all the luggage and the picnic bag and yet leaving room for more. The Brezza followed on similar lines too. The EcoSport and the Nexon needed a couple of attempts to fit everything well, but they swallowed everything anyway. While the XUV300 was a bit of a Tetris game, but no configurations we tried could accommodate the poor picnic basket. So while all the others scored an equal 10 on 10, the Venue is the best when it comes to boot space and even ease of loading. With their compact size, there's always a trade-off between cabin room and the boot space, and it shows the moment you take a look at how cramped things can get on the inside. Neither would ideally be our choice if you were to ferry 3 adults in the back, but if you had to, well, the XUV300 is better. By simply slashing the rear end of the SsangYong Tivoli, the XUV300 does miss out on the boot space, but it's got a very generous cabin in the bargain. In terms of cooling, the Venue impressed us the most, and its rear AC vents seem to work better than their rivals. Cabins of all the cars have a completely mixed opinion. So we did cram in 3 people in the back seat, and the Brezza was not as comfortable as you would expect it to be. The shoulder room was the best because it's quite wide, but the leg room not so great. EcoSport, Venue, even smaller in terms of their shoulder room and their leg space, and the EcoSport in particular, the foot space at the back is not that great. That leaves us with the Nexon and the XUV300, both of which are quite spacious cabins. Nexon, which we thought was the most spacious of this lot, is actually not. It's essentially the best legroom that it offers. But if you look at the overall space, it is the XUV300. The EcoSport, the Venue and the XUV300, all 3 of them get a sunroof. Now this is a very important feature that people look for when buying a car in India. But apart from that, I think the safety features is something that you need to pay more heed to, that is something that you need to pay more importance to. And in that sense, you need to find out if the cabin will only attempt to protect the front occupants or also the occupants at the back. In that sense, the XUV300, it scores the highest points, gets 7 airbags on its range-topping trim. The Venue and the EcoSport, on the other hand, also get 6 airbags each. All these 3 cars also have an emergency calling feature. So in terms of its safety features, I think these 3 cars score the highest points. Now, compact SUVs are also increasingly being bought by nuclear families or new couples. So the presence of ISOFIX child seat mounts, that could be important as well. So if you are planning a child or if you have a kid and a child seat is going to be important for you, then you should also take into consideration if ISOFIX mounts are present, and if they are, on what trims are they available, and that should in a way dictate what your buying decision is headed towards. So take a look how these safety features are spread across different trims for all these 5 cars. The number of airbags is an important aspect to consider since it prevents secondary impact injuries in the event of a collision. And therefore, from that perspective, Despite the Nexon scoring a 5-star global NCAP rating and the Brezza and the EcoSport earning a 4-star rating each, it's the Ford that edges ahead of the other two for offering 6 airbags. Even the Venue offers up to 6 airbags. The XUV300 on the other hand goes a step further and offers 7 airbags and is also the only one to give the middle passenger in the rear bench a proper 3-point seat belt and an adjustable headrest. The Venue, the EcoSport and the XUV300 can also automatically dial emergency services if the car senses an airbag has been deployed, further adding to the peace of mind of the overall safety package. So when traveling together, audio is of course a big deal. Good music is something that you definitely want to enjoy when you're out on a road trip. Now all these cars have their own audio systems to boast of, to make big claims about. The Hyundai Venue in fact goes a step further and says that this is the best audio system in the business. Is it? That's what we are here to find out, because it's not only about the wattage or the number of speakers that this car has to offer. There's a lot more of tunability, flexibility that the audio system gets you. So apart from the usual equalizers and setting the fading and how you want the sound, which part of the cabin you want it to fill up, there's also something like the environmental audio that if you guys have experienced back in the days when the computer audio got very feature rich, something similar to that. You can also set your mood accordingly. So all these things come into play. So we are trying different settings. We are playing the same audio file from the same device on each and every car, and all 4 of us are sitting in the car, or in fact all 5 of us are sitting in the car and checking and trying to evaluate which is the best audio system, because everything sounds differently to different people. Like some like bass more, some like treble more, like Ani says baby ko bass pasand hai. So anyway, so we are going to evaluate everything that's going on in these 5 cars and then decide which is the better audio system of the 5. The Venue is miles ahead of the mediocre audio in the XUV300. Lounge is good. The Brezza has a decent audio unit too, and though it outshines the EcoSport's relatively flat audio quality with its deeper punches, it lacks the dynamic audio range that is offered by its Korean rival. Certainly the loudest. There's nothing as loud as this. But neither of these cars can match the Nexon's clarity and punch. Superb. Even at full volume, the speakers in the Nexon don't bottom out, contributing to the Nexon's top score in this test. The cabin of the Hyundai Venue, I think, is one of the best when it comes to fit and finish and overall build quality in terms of this particular category. The EcoSport has a slight bit of an upper hand with those body colored inlays. I would have liked the same to happen with the Venue as well, maybe even body colored seatbelt like I mentioned in my review. But this is not about the way it only looks, because this is something again that's going to be more of a personal preference. What you like is going to be more of a personal preference. In terms of their equipment, they are almost on par with each other, and that is something that you need to take a look at now. But apart from that, I think the visibility of the Venue that you get out of the driver's seat is one of the best as well. Now that is something that is only for you in your driver's seat. But what about the rest of the occupants? The one big thing that really matters to them, apart from the space and the convenience of course, is how many gadgets can you charge when you're on a road trip. Everyone has a big phone these days. Everyone wants to charge their phone on the go. So if you don't have, say, aftermarket sockets, if you don't have a battery pack, that is something that we are discounting right now. We are purely looking at the amount of charging sockets that you get out of the box. That's the convenience feature we are looking at. So we begin with the Venue, which has 4 charging options right at the front. If you have a phone that can be charged wirelessly, there is a wireless charging pad, and there are 3 USB ports as well, one of which is also a 12-volt socket. And then there are more USB ports, more 12-volt sockets that you need to start looking in the cabin of each and every car. Take a look. The Venue shines right away by offering 4 charging solutions right at the front, including a wireless charger. But with only one USB port at the back, you're going to have to run a lot of cables to keep all occupants happy. The Brezza is the only one here to have a 12-volt socket in the boot. We have awarded 2 points for every charging option available in here, and the Venue outshines all of its rivals. And since we are on the topic of gadgets and connectivity, the Venue's infotainment is also the most feature-rich by a huge margin thanks to the connected technology that it offers. The EcoSport comes a close second on the infotainment. The Brezza has a fairly feature-rich infotainment too and is expected to get connected technologies in its midlife makeover next year. The Nexon comes with its own apps and connectivity options, but the display isn't as crisp as the rivals. The XUV's infotainment is feature-loaded too, but feels fairly low-rent in comparison to its rivals and could have done better for the price that it demands. Given our conditions, keeping yourself hydrated during your road trips is very important. So the car's capability to hold 1 liter bottles and how many of them becomes a very important criteria. In fact, you will be shocked, you will be amazed, and justifiably so, to know that this is one of the important criteria when Indians are buying their cars or making their buying decisions. That is why you will see this as one of the important factors when car makers are planning on new cars and where they conduct those car clinics. That's also one of the reasons why the Innova, which is one of the most popular people carriers in the country, has over 20 1-liter bottle holders. So let's take a look at what these compact SUVs manage to hold. Here we are looking for spaces in the door and also considering all the cup holders in case you need to use them for bottles too. The Nexon can hold the least amount of bottles in this test, 6. Using the front cup holders for bottles can intrude into your steering action, and while the rear cup holders, the bottles become a tight squeeze. The Venue holds 6 bottles too, but not having the air purifier can allow bottles to be kept in the center console. However, we would choose cleaner air. The Brezza's functional cabin takes 7 bottles, and the cup holders are usable as well. The XUV300 takes 8 bottles in comparison, and most of them in the doors. Its cup holders are too shallow to hold anything in fact. The most bottle-friendly car in this test, however, is the EcoSport. Swallowing 10 bottles and placing 1-liter bottles in the cup holders won't affect any of your controls or ergonomics. They're less than 4 meters long. You sit quite tall as compared to a hatchback or a sedan, so they should be relatively easy to park in that space. Shouldn't be a problem, right? So how long do they take? Which one is the easiest to park? Let's find out. We put our new OVERDRIVE joinee Aditya on this test and we let him have a go in each car beforehand to get a judgment of the space and the car. Parking gates certainly help in such spaces and all these cars have a decent kit to that effect. Aditya took the longest, however, in the XUV300 and the Brezza, and despite the tailgate mounted boot, the EcoSport was surprisingly easy and quick to park. The Nexon's time was comparable to that of the EcoSport, but the Hyundai Venue was a second quicker and the easiest to park with better visibility all around. Moving on to drivability, a quick glance at the V-Box test results will tell you that the least powerful yet the lightweight Brezza is justifiably quickest to the ton, while a similarly spec'd Venue is the slowest and needs to shift more gears to get to 100 km an hour than the rest. The XUV300, despite being the most powerful, isn't the quickest in outright acceleration, but it quickly redeems itself in real-world drivability. We put all these cars through a roll-on acceleration test with 5 people on board this time around. Here the XUV300 clawed back impressive numbers with its healthy torque spread. The Nexon and the EcoSport posted respectable times too, in outright as well as roll-on acceleration, and the engines in both these cars feel quite eager too. The Brezza's engine feels just about adequate with a full house, while the Venue feels very laid back in the way it builds pace. That also reflects in its average fuel economy, with the Brezza still ruling the department by a huge margin over the rivals. Within our viewer base, we are increasingly seeing a big difference in what qualifies as a good handler. Some prefer stiff and taut cars like the Brezza, while others seem to take a liking to the light-footed nature of cars like the Nexon. We would all agree, however, that getting a right balance between the two isn't an easy task. While the various XUV300 test mules that we've tested so far have felt very different from each other in the handling department, the one that you see here impressed us with its cornering manners, and it clearly had the best ride quality of this test. The Nexon is on par, offering a cushy ride, but has a fair bit of body roll around the bends, and therefore depends heavily on the grip levels of its tires. The EcoSport has a better mechanical grip in comparison, but the Ecopia tires that it ships with feel understeery. The Brezza has been our all-time favorite in the handling department, but has a slightly stiffer ride, and the 16,000 km run example that we had for this test felt a bit squishy and noisy compared to the Brezza test mules that we've had in the past. The Venue has an impressive ride like most new-age Hyundais, but the diesel variant has a pronounced body roll and a vague steering feedback, which robs it of some valuable points in the handling department. Coming to a complete halt from 80 kilometers an hour with just one person driving it is a different thing, but with a full house, with all their luggage, that is a different ballgame altogether, and that's exactly what we are going to find out. What separates these cars, which is the better one when it comes to stopping power. Take a look. Despite having discs on all fours, the XUV300 posts the longest braking distance and also happens to have an inconsistent brake pedal feel. The Venue and the EcoSport have a more confident bite and a progressive pedal feel and show fairly average braking manners that are better than the Brezza. The Nexon has a spongy brake pedal feel in comparison to all of these cars, but has above par braking manners, once again pointing to the superior grip of its tires. The Brezza, despite being the least scorer of this test, does everything well and comes with the Maruti Suzuki peace of mind, and that continues to get it the leading sales volumes that it boasts of even today. Compared to our previous tests, the XUV300 fares better this time around, but still doesn't match up to the others in terms of overall practicality. The Nexon is tailor-made to the needs of the Indian consumer, and that shows in how it shines in many departments that matter to them, and therefore its points tie with those of the EcoSport, the car that has won most comparisons at OVERDRIVE. But there is now a new benchmark for this segment, and that has to be the Hyundai Venue. Despite its shortcomings in the powertrain front, it manages to tie in new-age technology and high levels of practicality at a very tempting price tag, which makes it a clear winner of this test. The sub 4 meter compact SUV space, it's always a tough battle, always very difficult choosing that one perfect winner, and every time we do, there are a lot of agreements and disagreements, not only from our viewers but also from within the team. And that is because despite these cars being so closely benchmarked against each other, they are also very diverse, also very unique in what they have to offer to the market, and that is what leads to a lot of agreements and disagreements. So I hope that you really enjoyed watching what we put together today. I hope that all the practicality tests that we put together today will help you identify what are the parameters that are more important for you when you're choosing your compact SUV, and that will help you make a more informed buying decision. I hope it helps, and thank you so much for watching.